If you are a veteran fantasy football manager, you know this to be true. The waiver wire during this time of the season, it gets really hard to find serious, valuable contributors to your fantasy football team. So does that make the waiver wire worthless? Absolutely not. Because as we have seen over the past several weeks, we're seeing legitimate superstars going down with injury and getting placed on the IR. This is what's happening at this point in the fantasy football season. We are in the midway point of the fantasy football season and stars are getting hurt. So we need to be proactive about getting on the waiver wire and finding guys that are going to ensure our superstars. I'm filming this at 5 a.m. right now on Monday morning, guys. So please go down there, drop a like on this video, and subscribe to the channel to show your support. So let's go ahead and dive into the guys that we need to get right now. So obviously, one of the major injuries we saw this week, and I don't know the status of this player because I'm filming this, like I said, on Monday morning at 5 a.m. So there's not enough news out there on what the timeline is for this guy. But David Montgomery went down to a shoulder injury / rib injury on Sunday versus the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and Jahmyr Gibbs has missed the last 2 games. We need to pick up Craig Reynolds off of the waiver wire for the Detroit Lions. Now, you can see Craig Reynolds' numbers on the screen. Obviously, he's their 3rd string running back. Nothing has been that great, and obviously he hasn't been involved because Jahmyr Gibbs is the running back 2, and David Montgomery is the running back 1. So if both those guys are on the field, Craig Reynolds isn't doing much. Well, here's the reason you pick up Craig Reynolds. So obviously, Jahmyr Gibbs could come back in week 7. He might come back and be ready to go. But Craig Reynolds is simply a good pickup to ensure David Montgomery or even Jahmyr Gibbs. Because Craig Reynolds, the reality with him is that he is set up on one of the best teams in football, period. That's the Detroit Lions. No longer are the days where Detroit is going to be a bottom 5 team in the NFL. Those days are over. Detroit with Dan Campbell is 5-1, and they look like a force to be reckoned with. And the main reason for it is because of that top 3 offensive line that they possess. They're a great offensive line. So even with Craig Reynolds averaging 3.5 rushes per game, he's averaging 5.3 yards per carry, and he's already got a rushing touchdown. If David Montgomery misses time, and if Jahmyr Gibbs continues to miss time, Craig Reynolds will be a legit starting option moving forward. That's the reality here. That's why you need to pick up Craig Reynolds. If you've got David Montgomery, if you've got Jahmyr Gibbs, even if you need help at running back, and maybe if you want to just dangle Craig Reynolds as trade bait in front of the guys who own David Montgomery, this is a move you should make. And the reality is, this week, he may be a little bit expensive. You would probably need to pick up Craig Reynolds for no less than about 12 to 15 bucks on the waiver wire on FAB. Now, we may get news before Tuesday that David Montgomery is going to be healthy and active. You still need to pick up Craig Reynolds. And at that point, he'll be cheaper as well. But Craig Reynolds has legit value moving forward to ensure David Montgomery, to ensure Jahmyr Gibbs, because this is a guy on a very good team. And I believe that he is a really good insurance policy with the Detroit Lions continuing to want to run the ball. But their Lions running backs are going down, and we need to insure those guys. Number 2 on the list, and this is a guy, this is hilarious because this is a guy I've said all season and all off season was not going to be relevant in this offense enough. And he's still not. But we're picking up Tank Bixby of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Those of you who were with me during the offseason, first of all, I appreciate you being with me. But second of all, you know that I was always big on Travis Etienne. And I was saying Tank Bixby is not going to be relevant. And you know what? He hasn't. You can see the numbers on the screen. He's averaging 3 attempts per game. And he's averaging 2.7 yards per carry. It's not that good. But here's the thing. He's on a very good offense. And they are starting to find their groove. And because he's on a good offense, he's had 2 rushing touchdowns. Like, that's the thing with Tank Bixby. When you're on a good football team, and when you're on a good offense, your upside is going to be there if you get the opportunities. I love Travis Etienne. He is the player I thought he was heading into the season, which is a league-winning type of running back. But, if he goes down, Tank Bixby will be very, very startable in fantasy football. That's the reality with insurance policies at running back. You do not want every single insurance policy. Look how the Arizona situation turned out on Sunday with Amari DiMercado, the guy that was a prized waiver wire pickup last week. It didn't work. He had 2 carries in that game on Sunday versus the Los Angeles Rams. We do not want running backs on bad teams as insurance policies. We want them on the best teams. And Jacksonville is a very good team. And if Travis Etienne goes down, Tank Bixby immediately becomes very important in fantasy football. And I want my audience to get him while they can, because right now he's going to be more than likely free, or at the max, you might have to pay $2 to $3 to make sure that you get him. This is a move I am actively telling my audience to make, and I will be making this move in a lot of leagues this week. Number 3, this is a guy who is pretty widely rostered right now, but he is still under 50% rostered. I think you need to take him. If he is on your waiver wire, you need to grab him. It's Taj Spears of the Tennessee Titans. He's 39.3% rostered right now, and Taj Spears needs to be on a roster. Now, here's what we were just talking about. We want running backs on the best teams, right? Well, Tennessee is not in that class. They're 2-4. Their offensive line is, it's not bad, but it's not great. But Taj Spears is a really good player. Taj Spears, alone with Derrick Henry, has been involved. He is their certified third down running back. He's absolutely a very efficient player as well. 5.8 yards per carry. He found the end zone a couple weeks ago, and he's getting 3.8 targets per game because he's on an offense that is featuring him as the third down back. Now, if Derrick Henry continues to stay healthy, Derrick Henry is going to continue to be the lead carry guy in this offense. I don't even think Taj Spears is flex-worthy in most league formats. Now, granted, I did call him a flex-worthy option in my must-start and sit running backs video before week 6, mostly in deeper leagues. And I do believe he will continue to be that just based on the carries that he gets and based on the targets he gets. If you combine the two of them, he's averaging almost 10 touches per week. But if Derrick Henry goes down, Taj Spears is a legit force to be reckoned with. His efficiency, his numbers, and the importance on this offense only goes up. And Derrick Henry, like I said, he's an older player now. They're not giving him as much work because they know that his body's breaking down a little bit on them. It's possible, and if it happens, I want Taj Spears on my roster. Now, obviously, this next guy is the big one that we're all here for, right? Because this one is legit right in front of our face, and it matters a lot. Obviously, we're talking about Elijah Mitchell of the San Francisco 49ers because Christian McCaffrey went down with an injury on Sunday versus the Cleveland Browns, came back in, and then came back out. I don't know the status of Christian McCaffrey at this point, but I do know this. Elijah Mitchell is going to be a massive pickup on the waiver wire this week. He's 26.6% rostered. So obviously there's a lot of people who already drafted him as an insurance policy, and good on those people. But he is on a lot of waiver wires right now, and he is obviously going to be a major pickup this week. Elijah Mitchell, the problem with him, and the reason I want to kind of caution people about this one, is Elijah Mitchell has barely been healthy himself this year. And he hasn't even done anything. Like, you can see his numbers on the screen. He hasn't done much at all. Now, those numbers a little bit, eight attempts per game, that's a little skewed because he hasn't even been active in most games. Elijah Mitchell, if healthy, is a massive piece that you need. You need to get Elijah Mitchell. This San Francisco offense is so built around the run, and Elijah Mitchell has proved himself to be a very good running back over the years. Elijah Mitchell, if he's on the waiver wire, you're probably going to have to pay at least $20 for. I'm on board with it. I'm on board with paying $22 to get Elijah Mitchell to insure Christian McCaffrey. Now, again, we may get news before Tuesday that Christian McCaffrey is not going to miss much time. He only misses a week or so, or maybe he doesn't even miss time at all. I would bet he'll probably miss at least a week because he came out of that game again. Also to throw in there, it's going to be Jordan Mason. Jordan Mason, if Elijah Mitchell himself doesn't stay healthy, that's going to be an important pickup option as well. This San Francisco backfield, you want a piece of. To insure Christian McCaffrey, if you've got Christian McCaffrey, or if you want to dangle Elijah Mitchell in front of that league manager's face, you can do that because Elijah Mitchell has serious value all of a sudden in fantasy football. And the last guy I'm talking about here, again, checks all the boxes on a very good team, a very good offense. And this guy has already looked relatively good when he's played. I'm getting Zack Shanet off the waiver wire right now. Zack Shanet is not available everywhere, but he is available in over 50% of leagues. Zack Shanet is available in about 65% of leagues. He's 35% rostered right now. Zack Shanet is a great insurance policy. Kenneth Walker, I've talked about him over the weeks. I think a lot of people forgot about him after the bye week. Kenneth Walker is a great player in fantasy football right now. He has looked excellent and dominant in every game he's played in. But, of course, you want to ensure that type of performance. And Zack Shanet has already proved to be a very good player in this league. He's averaging 5 yards per carry right now. He looks good, and he looks like he's able to compete, and he's running over defenders at the NFL level already. Zack Shanet was also a second-round pick for the Seattle Seahawks this year. So he's not exactly some slouch just off the street. Zack Shanet has serious draft capital attached to him, which means that if Kenneth Walker goes down, Zack Shanet is going to be very important to this offense. Like I said, I am trying to have my audience ensure their star players on the waiver wire this week because when you look across the league, there are not many guys at this point in the fantasy football season that you can get off the waiver wire that are going to be league-winning type of players unless there's an injury. So I want to get out ahead of guys, ahead of injuries, and pick up guys that actually have legit upside if their guy goes down. This is just a smart move to make on the waiver wire this week because there are not a ton of guys you are going to find that are going to be legit league-winning players unless there's an injury. So let me know who you are actively targeting on the waiver wire this week and what questions you need answered before week 7 fantasy football. And if you want to see some buy low trade targets to trade for before week 7 fantasy football, click on this video right here.